there are quite a number of different arguments for the existence of God. Let me just list some of them that I've defended in my work. One would be the contingency argument that holds that God is the best explanation of why anything at all exists rather than nothing. A second would be the Kalam cosmological argument, which argues that God is the best explanation for the origin of the universe at some time in the finite past. God brought the universe into being from nothing. A third argument would be the design argument, which holds that God is the best explanation for the remarkable fine-tuning of the initial conditions of the universe for intelligent life. Another argument would be the moral argument, that God is the best explanation for the existence of objective moral values and duties in the world. I would also think that the ontological argument for God's existence is a sound argument, which argues that the very possibility of God's existence implies his actuality, and that therefore, if God is even possible, it follows that God exists. And finally, as I said, I think we can know that God exists through personally experiencing him as a kind of properly basic belief, in the same way that I know that the external world exists or that the past is real. I can know that God exists in that same sort of immediate, non-inferential way. So that would just be a list of various arguments for God's existence that I think are sound and persuasive arguments, and that I've defended in detail in my written work.
Because atheism is a faith, of course, as well.
It's not.
Of course it is.
Well, okay.
Don't you believe it?
It had to get there. I understand that you know, the physiology of it, if you will, but it had to come from somewhere. And that is the leap of faith that you guys make, that it just happened.
Well, a leap of faith, you don't actually need a leap of faith. You're the one who needs a leap of faith, because you are actually, the onus is on you to say why you believe in something. There's an infinite number of gods you could believe in. I take it you don't believe in Zeus or Apollo or Thor. You believe in, presumably, the Christian God, Jesus.
See, Jesus was a real guy. I could see him.
Yeah.
You know, and I know what he did. And so I'm not positive that Jesus is God, but I'm throwing in with Jesus rather than throwing in with you guys, because you guys can't tell me how it all got here. You guys don't know.
We're working on it. Physicists are working.
When you get it, then maybe I'll listen.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, if you look at the history of science over the centuries, the amount that's gained in knowledge each century is stupendous. In the beginning of the 21st century, we don't know everything. We have to be humble. We have to, in humility, say that there's a lot that we still don't know.
And, you know, being humble is a Christian virtue.
Well,
so, there you go.
Of course it is.
All right.
Don't know.
And, you know, being humble is a Christian virtue.
Well,
so, there you go.
Of course it is.
All right.
In the book.
Well, then who did create the heavens and the earth?
Why do you use the word who? You see, you immediately beg the question by using the word who.
Well, then how did it get created?
Well, by a very slow process.
Well, how did it start?
Nobody knows how it started. We know the kind of event that it must have been. We know the sort of event that must have happened for the origin of life.
And what was that?
It was the origin of the first self-replicating molecule.
Right, how did that happen?
I told you we don't know.
So you have no idea how it started?
No, nor has anybody.
Nor has anyone else. What do you think is the possibility that intelligent design might turn out to be the answer to some issues in genetics or in evolution?
It could come about in the following way. It could be that at some earlier time, somewhere in the universe, a civilization evolved by probably some kind of Darwinian means to a very, very high level of technology, and designed a form of life that they seeded onto perhaps this planet. Now, that is a possibility, and an intriguing possibility. And I suppose it's possible that you might find evidence for that if you look at the details of biochemistry, molecular biology. You might find a signature of some sort of designer.
Wait a second. Richard Dawkins thought intelligent design might be a legitimate pursuit?
And that designer could well be a higher intelligence from elsewhere in the universe. Well, but that higher intelligence would itself have had to have come about by some explicable or ultimately explicable process. It couldn't have just jumped into existence spontaneously. That's the point.
So Professor Dawkins was not against intelligent design, just certain types of designers, such as God.